York's famous for a couple of things. One being one of the oldest cities in England. Two, I think Dick Turpin might have been there. Three, it's famous for ghosts. There's over 504 reported hauntings. So if we don't see a ghost while we're there, then we're basically not going to see one anywhere. We're on our way to pick up Neen. We told her we'd be there at 9. It's 20 past. In our defence, we were on Facebook. We're never early anyway, so no one actually expects us to be early, because like we sort of prepare and have so many good intentions, and then like something always happens, and it's usually Facebook. I go to the chemist, get some special insoles for me. It makes me sound really old, but I have heel spurs. It makes me sound like a cowboy. I need a cowboy hat. Because I'd be a genuine cowboy, because I have spurs and they're not, you know, they're not attached to the boot like those other poncy cowboys. They're on me permanently. He was round us night before last, and we were preparing for York, like looking for other places to go, and we were discussing our list, and we've got a post-it full of stuff like listing every piece of equipment and all that we need. Cameras, DVRs, tripod, map, cool box, batteries, utility belt, shortbread, or it's been renamed York bread, like chargers, our tablet, all our information, food and drink, MP3 players, Neen's list, camera, tickets, pants. And then she said to us, you haven't got pants on your list. And we were like, well, we've never forgotten our pants. And she was like, with the length of the skirt you two wear, I am not spending a holiday with you without pants. So we had to write them on the list. Yeah. And we haven't forgotten. And we actually are wearing long skirts for this holiday, so it wouldn't matter if we didn't have pants, because no one can see. Hello, Maggie. Hello.
Oh, I see. You came to film the dog.
We did, yes. Hello.
Calamityville.
Mascot.
My list got a bit bigger.
So you've got your pants.
I got my pants. We have tinned alcohol in there. That's going to go in the fridge. There's tinned Smirnoff Ice.
Wow.
I thought
you helping yourself to the booze, Maggie? I did consider bringing Smirnoff Ice, but then I thought I'll bring Red Bull instead. So.
Yeah, I knew you guys would only think to bring Red Bull.
Where's that face? There it is. Baddesley Clinton. Baddesley Clinton. From Simpsons. When they take over, the aliens take over President Clinton's body, and they can't say his name, and they call him President Clinton. It's a manor house built in. See, I'm rubbish with dates. 1600. No, I think it's 13th century building by Henry Frome, who was on the wrong side of the War of the Roses and was murdered. Everyone seems to be on the wrong side of the War of the Roses. Is it the wrong side depending on who's writing the article? He was murdered, and so in revenge his son Nicholas killed the Earl of Warwick Stewart, and Nicholas actually like rebuilt most of the manor house. He was a very violent, jealous man, and he came home one day to find a priest tickling his wife under the chin. So actually some people say it was like they were being intimate, but the most general reason is the priest was tickling his wife under the chin. Nicholas stabbed him on the spot. The priest died. Normally, you know, killing the priest would be death, but he bought his way out of it like the rich people do, and as penance had to build St. Michael's Church. And some say it's a blood stain in the library that is the priest's blood, but the National Trust actually say that that's pig's blood. There's loads of priest holes in the manor house, and they were actually successful because not a single priest was found during the Inquisition.
Are we allowed to go in the priest hole?
I'm not sure whether actively allowing it. If we're small enough to fence, if we don't get caught, we can do it. And you know, if the Inquisition didn't find the priest house, one of us like stands guard. And as long as they don't see us together, they'll just think there's only one of us who won't know that the other one is in the priest house. A ghostly woman at sea, and footsteps are heard, people get pushed. Some people have reported showing priests giving mass in the dark.
That's what they're calling it in them bits.
Yeah, exactly.
You giving mass is all about. I hope you go to church.
All the research and we emailed it to ourselves and forgot to Nicholas, when he died, buried standing up under the entrance to the church. So it's quite possible that his ghost is the one that's doing all this stuff because he can't rest. The estate passed to his daughter who married Thomas Ferrers, and then it passed to Thomas Walker who changed, no, Edward Ferrers she married. It passed, show us your babies! Sheep, when you see sheep and farm animals, you gotta shout, show us your babies, and then they show you their babies. Won't do it otherwise.
Do they show you their babies? They go, oh, hang on a minute,
they hoist him up high and they're like, and behold, here be my baby. Pastor Thomas Walker, who changed his name to Ferrers, and that's why I get confused. He was a friend, but he changed his name to Ferrers, which to me sounds a little dodgy, and that sounds like someone trying to get in on the well. Yeah. And then in 1940, I think it passed to the National Trust, or maybe it was 1980. At some point in the 1900s, it passed to the... Show us your baby. Where are the babies? I saw babies.
Oh, in true professional.
You don't get this on Ghost Adventures. It is another General Pinkerton on the road, people.
No, that's a lady. See, that's going to be a lady one because it's pinker than yours.
Oh yeah, that's the pink they offered us. Oh yeah, that's the pink that you could buy. We didn't want that pink, we wanted hot pink. Yeah. Baroness Pinkerton. It's not my fault you're navigating. I told you Junction 16. I didn't see a sign for Junction 16. Turn around. 15 is way past it. Has anyone else seen a sign?
I mean, Chris, I'm not paying attention.
The face of the person who missed the junction. It wasn't me, I didn't see a sign. Co-pilot's fault. Can't be me, I told you what junction.
She hasn't tried to kill us yet.
There's been a couple of angry horn blasts. We're on our way to Stratford. I nearly killed us in Stratford. Should we try it? But it's a big roundabout. I've got to go all the way round. Oh. And let that be a lesson. I didn't see a sign. How many miles out are we? That's where we wanted to go. Did we go on again? That's where we are.
This Calamityville episode of Getting Lost is sponsored by Savage Car.
M40 at Junction 16.
There's no Junction 16.
And the map shows Junction 16. There is no Junction 16. We're now like all over here.
Until we get to Junction 16.
Yeah, and Junction 16 just does not exist. Anyway, we've now done this road twice. See, I told you there was no signs, didn't I? And then how are we supposed to take Junction 16 if Junction 16 does not exist? So there's the bear strangling the plants. There it is!
See, Junction 16 does exist.
You bastard, you hit! We're a team, we take the blame together.
No, this is all you then. Cat, the navigator. I blame Cat. I'm blameless in this. I was eating grapes.
Exactly, you left us to our own devices and look what happened! Just missed that road and had to turn around. We're nearly there, people. Both our sanities will still be intact by then.
Will I still be giggling at you two by that point?
Quite possibly.
This is quite a high bridge. You can't see as you're going up.
Right.
Coming inside, you might want to...
So if I flew it, I can fly like they do in film. Yeah.
Whoa, you are an inch away from the wall as well, Lynx. So Lynx nearly killed us.
We are doing well,
That's
people.
2-1 to Cat so far. Nearly killed me, Freya, my friend Emma and her daughter Kieran the other day.
Well, so you would have taken out multiple victims.
Yeah.
And child victims
two
too.
children.
Yeah, exactly.
So much work.
Just saw a sign, the bear house. Is that where Goldilocks went? Show us your babies. Is it every time I've got the camera out, you don't have babies? That is Kingston. Hey!
No, your friend, no.
Slowly cows and sheep are roaming free. Show us your babies. Oh, there was a sheep running. They're like, hide the babies! Show us they're running! Run, little sheep! Run! Because obviously someone's arrived to feed them. There's a mini behind me. Don't pressure me now to go faster because I want to look at the sheep. Run and get your babies! And we always tend to put Good. Yeah, kitty kitty. Hello. You're going to make friends with you whether you want it or not. Hello. Oh, well that's a pretty face. Hello. You going to look at my camera? Like that. There we go. Lovely to meet you. And we promise we'll stop harassing you for now. So far, Calamityville has featured Meg, a lot of sheep, and a cat.
Ah, the water's the same colour as our seas.
Doggies.
That's a nice door. Do you reckon we'll get it in the mini?
It'll be a squish.
We're getting a little bit.
That's a door for us. That's nearly our size. We barely need to duck. Love this house.
It's amazing.
It even has an old smell about it.
Yeah. I might just be damp. Beating servants.
They wouldn't give the servants any fires because they weren't expected to keep still for too long.
Dance! Dance! That's for. I just said that's for beating the servants. It's obviously to encourage dancing.
Not beating the rugs.
Come and pull it down to make room.
Hi folks.
Under there.
Hi.
Has anybody been before to the house?
No.
First time.
But it was formerly a servants section. And it's the oldest part of the house, or one of them, dating about 1460.
Would the walls have been painted like this during that time?
Purely for, trying to keep them clean and wipe them down, basically. Only began the kitchen in the 1700s. That's why there's no water in here. It was originally taken out of a well and in the housekeeper's room as well.
Okay.
Where the range is, you'll see if you went around the outside of the house or through the window, it goes further back that recess. And originally there were toilets in there for the servants. This is indeed, yes. But where you're looking, if you get further close, right close, you'll see a mirror on the left. And it will show you the extent, but that's not as presented as it would have been. That's a giveaway. That glass panel was only put in 1940, so you can see into it.
Wow.
The entrance is in the wall to your left, that brick and stone wall. There's a shaft in there, there's a rope system. Used, I think it's about 1591. You get about 9 to a dozen priests in there.
So did they originally have a stone over it to cover the priest?
We're not certain. It would have been solid, or it's possible there could have been another garderobe there. Obviously the chappie who built the priest houses, there were 3, made no notes in writing, no written notes whatsoever. Built them all over the country. He ended up in the tower, and then he was tortured to death, trying to find out where he built the priest house.
And he never said.
No,
Do you know much about the haunted sides of the building?
not a lot, but it's in the front part. You'll go on the first floor eventually, and you'll go around that section. You'll start off in the parlour, then you go into the library. On the floor in front of the fireplace, a stone fender, you'll see blood. On the floors. It is blood, because a priest was murdered in the house. The murder didn't take place in that room.
The one that was tested as pig's blood, did you say?
It's correct.
Yeah.
That room, they say it is haunted. It's the old thing, the lady in white, but nothing's ever been seen, felt, nothing.
So none of the staff have seen...
Well, I was going to say, the gentleman Norman in there, he might have Kelvin on there, because he actually, mother volunteers stayed overnight about a year or so ago to see whether anything happened. They did have one or two feelings, put it that way. The last two fellows, a man called Marmion, he's a Victorian gentleman, and it's his mother who, in those days it was quite rife, but banned even talking about it, and if you like, from then onwards it hasn't really sort of come about. It's used for filming occasionally. You've heard of Sherlock Holmes, haven't you?
Yeah.
One episode was filmed here.
Oh, right.
Jeremy Brett, he was I'm not talking about the modern one.
I think the moment you walk into this building, it has such a nice feeling about it.
It does. Well, it's a certain size, and it's purely this size because the moat predates the house by quite a long way. So it was dug out to keep cattle on. That's what the idea is. So they wouldn't potter around. There's a fire break. It was all forest land here, Forest of Arden, and to stop people stealing them. And eventually buildings evolved.
So they put the cattle
in where we're standing. That far side, which is open to the moat, there was another building there once, and that was built in 1250.
Wow.
And there's a bit remaining, one post, a bit of open post, and that's the earliest part. That's the gentleman I was referring to, about the ghosts. You did stay here one night, didn't you?
Yes, stayed here one
These
night.
ladies are asking about the ghost. Here we go.
Yeah, stayed here. Do you know, I'm in my break at the moment, but I'm not, if you're still about, I'm up in the great parlour, and I've had a lady today who's refused initially to go into the next room because she felt it's so cold in the parlour, and yet we've got no records of ghosts in the parlour, but she just had a feeling, and she was really quite scared, and eventually went into the next room and felt warm again.
Oh, right.
But it was a spiritual warm and cold as opposed to a physical warm and cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, stopped overnight. And can a house be warm and friendly?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it felt like it.
Yeah.
No ghosts there. Nothing came out to scare me. But
Yeah.
I'll see you up there.
Okay, thank you.
You've got a good half a foot between your head and that frame. I laugh. It's the same for me.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd notice if we tried to put that in the mini?
Absolutely not. We could get that in. We'll put them
We'll leave Cat here. I can fit inside.
You can fit on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Look at those teeth. Show us a smile.
I could live here.
Yeah. Servants.
Stained glass crest to put in bed. I think it was Tom's work did then. The crest for like the families.
Great Hall was built in 1574. Gorgeous.
It is.
Henry Ferris, who actually built it, didn't have the fireplace that you see in it. He did have a fireplace, he was fireplace mad. And fireplaces had just come in, if you like. But the one that we're looking at, the front of it, was upstairs in the great parlour. Because the great parlour had been the main room of the house. So it had to wait until 1752 when his great-grandson brought it down. It was divided into 20 pieces and then reassembled down here.
That's an amazing fireplace.
Round the corner is a small fireplace that was in the next room, and that came down at the same time. People who are most important to us are the people called the Brooms, who bought the house in 1438. And John Broom was a lawyer. He was also under treasurer to the king. He was a wealthy man, and so he could start altering this house when he came here. He gets murdered by a man called John Hurthill, who is a steward to the Earl of Warwick. You've heard of the Kingmaker.
Yeah.
So John Hurthill and our John Broom quarrelled over a mortgage. So at Whitefriars in London, he knifed John Broom.
I'm glad they didn't do that at the banks now.
So the idea was that his son would avenge his father's death. So this is 1468, by 1471 Hurthill is dead because our Nicholas has murdered him at a place called Longbridge, which is between here and Coventry. They knew he was going to be on this certain road. Now we've got Henry VII on the throne, and he's short of cash. So he's thought of something good. You can buy a written pardon. So Nicholas goes and buys this written pardon for quite a lot of money, thousands of pounds then. And this is so, as a nobleman, he's not going for the chop. It was a pardon for life. I don't think he thought he would use it second time round, but he does, in this house. So in the area of where the library is, I think we had a medieval hall that stretched from this side to that. And at the end of it, there was a room called the Solar Room, which was the lady of the house's room that she could retire to.
Ah, right.
So in the October time, we had a big hunt, and meat had to be put down for the winter. And in so doing, there was a lot of raucous behaviour taking place in this medieval hall, drinking and all the horrible things that men get up to. And Elizabeth had retired to the Solar Room, and Nicholas wanted to go and tell his wife, I've really done well, got all this meat to put down for the winter. So he goes bounding in, he's got his sword, his dagger on, he's had a bit of, to drink, and compromising situation with the local priest, and dispatches the priest. He does please himself with the Pope because he builds a steeple at our church. He later puts a very posh bell tower, and he puts the steeple on Packwood. But then, right at the end of his life, he decides that perhaps he doesn't deserve to be laid in his box in the churchyard. So if you take yourself to the little church and you pick up the coconut mat as you go inside, you'll see a stone that says Nicholas Brown, 1517, and he's underneath it, standing up.
I didn't realise that he actually requested that.
Yes.
I thought they just sort of were like, he killed a few people out with both standing up.
No, it was his request. So there you go.
That's really unusual.
You will forever be unrested.
And his daughter is the lady that marries the first Edward Ferrers. And Edward Ferrers is a direct descendant from 14 generations back to a man called Henry de Ferrers, who comes as man of horse for William the Conqueror.
Should we go walk on his grave?
I know, because that was, for people can speak, but nobody wanted to do that to himself. I feel a little bad about doing it.
There you go. No, it was himself that he
He did
thought
murder
it
two
through.
people. I mean, fair dues.
Yeah, but he's my hero. I try to will him up. When I'm doing the Christmas decorations in the library, it's one of the darkest rooms in the house, and especially when it's about 4 o'clock, because the lighting is not good. And I say, oh, come on, Nick, where are you? But not yet.
Were you one of the volunteers that stayed here overnight?
No, I didn't stay. I was away at the time, and I was disappointed that it was when it was, because I would have liked to have done that.
Yeah, that would be
But
amazing.
we didn't have too much. I think 1 or 2 things moved, from where people had put things, but nothing appeared.
Have you experienced anything sort of unusual
never.
here?
I don't personally like the chapel. I've overcome my thing about it, but it's never done anything to me. It's just
an uneasy feeling.
It's the only room in the place that if you said to me you've got to stop there overnight, I might say thanks very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been
thank you.
fascinating talking to you.
And did you clock the narwhal?
No, I did. I wondered what it was.
Well,
I did see it, but yeah.
a narwhal tusk was given to the Edward Ferrers that I mentioned, who married Constance, because he was an ambassador in the French court, and Francis I presented it to him as a symbol of the unicorn, which is part of the Ferrers crest.
Oh, wow.
When the priest came to live with him, do you reckon that they stepped him down the priest? Yeah, you live down there.
I would like to think so. Seeing these silhouettes drawings reminds me of, in The Simpsons and Skinner and his mum do like their Friday silhouette painting. Clean thinking from IKEA.
He looks quite ghostly, doesn't he? He's come back.
That's original.
He doesn't look well.
I can't help hearing down roped off areas.
This was put together in 1629 from 2 pre-existing rooms. It's unique in that everything in here was made for it, in terms of the panelling was made for it and the fireplace was made for it. It's a huge fireplace for a mere bedroom.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was that the bedroom would be splendid enough for the king to sleep in it, but nobody quite that posh ever did sleep here. It cost an arm and a leg. For example, just the fireplace alone, the money spent on that would have been sufficient to retile 2 domestic houses. It's been used as the master bedroom in the house from 1629 to 1970. He used a father and son team called the Radcliffes to do the carving, and his diary reflects that he was not at all happy with them. He moaned bitterly about them. The problem was that they'd never stepped outside Warwick. He was used to the carvings he'd seen in London. The male caryatids there. Now, architecturally and mythologically, caryatids are supposed to hold a great weight. Well, C.A.T.S are having none of this. They've got their arms crossed. The weight they're supposed to be carrying is sitting on their heads.
They triple as well, don't they?
They don't look strong enough to be able to carry a lot of weight.
But the other thing about the fireplace is that he used it as a family tree. In Georgian times, it was painted white. The penultimate owner of the house inveigled the local WI to help him scrape between 12 and 15 layers of white paint off the walls. The panelling wasn't made for this room, it was recycled from somewhere else. In this corner here they ran out and the space fitted a door, so they put a door there. Could you open that door, you'd fall into the moat.
Does it open? Should we try?
No, we actually took the handle off it. The fireplace in here was put in by Henry's son. When Henry was using that as the main room, he was in his 80s. And this was a kitchenette, so he got a sort of granny flat, if you like. Oh. And it was quite common for the next generation to share a big house. So Edward, who was by that time in his early 50s, shared with his family. And when his father died, he absorbed the kitchenette, made it into the bedroom, and put his own stamp on it by adding this fireplace. And just in case I forget him, he put his initials on it. Again, a very splendid fireplace for a mere bedroom. And I have to jump in here and say that neither Henry's father nor Henry were spending their own money. Henry's father was, if you like, land-rich, cash-poor. So he was constantly letting this house to other people and selling off bits here, there and everywhere to generate cash. But he came across a real knacky little way of doing it. He married his son off to a very wealthy wife. And it's the daughter-in-law's money by doing that room and the wife's money doing this room. Yes. Most houses of some age will claim to have a piece of furniture that was built from something sunk at the time of the Armada. But we can get you 95% of the way to proving this. In 2001, we had samples taken from the back of these 2 panels. It's these 2 panels that are in question, the rest is English. Firstly, panels existed in 1588 as panels. Secondly, the wood is Spanish wood, not English wood. And thirdly, and I think this is the clincher, is he said that there is a high salt content which wouldn't have occurred naturally, but is suggestive of it being salvaged. Wow. She's one of the great aunts of Beatrice Mary Petrie, or Peter, who married into the family in 1870. And it's of her great aunt as a bride. Now, how do we know this? She's got a wedding ring on, and when this picture was painted in 1825, the custom was not to go out and buy a new wedding ring like we do now. The bridegroom's family provided the wedding ring, and the way you told the rest of the world that you were newlywed was you wrapped a small piece of coloured silk around it, which by custom and practice became a blue piece of silk. Something borrowed, something blue. The Victorians loved secret messages. You had to be very careful sending a bouquet that it was saying the right thing, because every flower had a meaning. And this necklace is no exception. You have to read it from right to left, because that's how she'd see it when she put it on in a mirror.
Right.
And you have to take the initial of each stone in it, and it spells a word. So see if you can work it out. It goes diamond, emerald, ampetite, ruby, emerald, sapphire, topaz.
Devis.
Background in these paintings a little bit.
It's interesting, isn't it? Either they've just finished the Grand Tour and it's an allusion to that, or that it is in the style of an Italian artist from his house, Appiani. But he had a stroke about 10 years before this painting was commissioned, so it's unlikely to be one of his, but it could very well be in the school of Appiani, because certainly his subjects sit like this and the colours are right, and this little tag appears quite often.
All right.
I like actually playing the guitar. She looks like she knows her chords.
The guitar is the bit that bothers me. That's the bit of the painting that's not really done
Right.
very well.
It's interesting because it's not a modern day guitar.
No.
This is what's called a romantic guitar. So the back is slightly curved, but you'll see the fretwork comes down onto the body.
Yeah.
And it's geared slightly differently up here. So she's actually playing a chord of C. And the painter has cheated and painted that on much too long to make her play the chord of C. That's her beloved. And her husband's middle name was Charles.
Thank you very much.
Home on leave, Thomas found his unusual room was being redecorated. He was given this more elegant room and told to behave himself. Sleeping soundly in the Spanish Armada bed, he awoke with a claustrophobic feeling and found that the head of the bed had fallen forwards, crushing him to the mattress. He managed to wriggle out and saw his mother at breakfast. When asked how he had slept, he blurted out, what Hitler has so far not succeeded in doing, Philip of Spain has nearly achieved.
Thomas and Undine. Son Thomas Reeve and Ferris Walker served in the Royal Navy during the Second World War. On one occasion he arrived home unannounced and unable to wake his parents, found 2 waterproof thunder flashes he happened to have in his bag. This certainly had an effect as his father appeared at the window with a shotgun.
We're coming close to the library.
You've caught up with me, ladies, then?
We've had.
What we did on the night that we stayed here, I say we, it was, would you believe there was 13 of us? How unlucky is that? What they did, they put some paper down and put some oldish objects down on the paper and covered them. The paper got medical talcum powder so it didn't smell anything like that. And then with the objects on, you could see if it moved. Now, you know you've just been to the sacristy between the blue bedroom and the chapel.
Yes.
Yeah? We put something in there and that moved just across the paper a bit. But that could have been the floor bouncing because you can hear it squeaking out. Downstairs in the dining room, we put a slightly heavier object down there and that moved about 6 inches. But we can't explain it. It's no good saying it's a ghost because we don't know. This is the room earlier on today, just coincidence of you coming. A lady came in here and immediately said, "Oh, it's cold in here," and I thought she meant the physical cold sort of thing. And she said, "No, I'm not happy." So she went straight next door, which is a colder room, although there is a heater on today. And she said, "No, I'm warm in here. I'm okay." And I said, "Are you sensitive to these things?" She said, "Very much so." 2 phases in this room, if you like. The modern phase, the Victorian phase, is the art studio for Rebecca. Prior to that, it was the great parlour. If you imagine all this clear, big long dining table, the fireplace is downstairs, up here, and you've got all this glass, you've got a half-barreled ceiling.
It's one of the brighter rooms in the house.
But the other thing this room contains, you've seen one priest hole.
I was wondering where the other ones were.
Well, we've got one in the roof space above the room next door.
Right.
Yeah, so in the roof, we can't show you that.
Yeah.
We've got one here. See where the radiator is?
Yeah.
There is, between the 2 floors, there's a gap. You come to the bottom of the stairs and you look across and you see a viewing gallery and you can look back up at where I'm talking about. The priest wrote his stories and we know the priests and their helpers were down under in the sewer. That the lady of the house, a lady called Brooksby.
I know, I was thinking I was in that Beatles.
You know, it's the first time I've said that wrong today.
We have that effect on people.
And her 2 children had to hide. Well, she was renting the house, so if the priests are found, she's responsible.
Yeah.
And will be taken to the tower. The kids under 12 give the game away.
Yeah.
So mum and the 2 kids are either in this one or that one. My favourite is this one. I can't imagine searchers not finding it in the roof space. It's very well constructed, very well concealed, but I just think you'd find it. Whereas here they are between the 2 floors. The lady who stayed above ground was Eleanor's sister Anne, and she went from strength to strength. Eleanor, the effect of the hiding for 5 hours or thereabouts, caused a modern terms nervous breakdown. We're one of only 10 houses that were searched and nobody was found. So,
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
but again, I think there's a reason for that. We were known as a Catholic house, so we were searched because we're a Catholic house, in my view, rather than information or intelligence, the priests were here.
Right.
Because the house was never surrounded. Whereas a lot of the houses were surrounded, they starved people out.
Mm.
And the man who made our priest holes was found at a house, Hindley Pool. Are you local to the
No.
middle?
No, we're from Cardiff.
Oh, Cardiff, okay.
Yeah.
Well, on the way back, you go past, you go through Worcester, and Hindley Pool is there. And Hindley Pool is where our hide maker was found. He was hid for 5 days, and they just starved him out. Now, if you've got a warped sense of humour like me, he was taken to the Tower of London and initially treated very well because they wanted him to spill the beans as to where the rest of his hides were. But he wasn't a priest, he was a builder, but he was believed in the faith, so he didn't say anything. Now, in those days, they had the equivalent to the Human Rights Act, obviously, because if you'd got a hernia or stomach injuries like that, you weren't allowed to be put on the rack. They thought it was inhuman. So what they did instead was hang him up by his wrists and put weight on his feet. But it wasn't the rack, was it?
Exactly.
So he...
That's
anyway,
like they think, attacking some of the hernias in human. Never mind racking them. Yeah.
But he did die under torture, so there's a serious side to it as well. But he didn't reveal where any of the houses were that he'd worked on.
It's quite ironic that he builds these amazing hiding places here. Everyone survives, yet he's the one that's found.
And Lockwood Court as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
He should have come here.
That's where he went wrong.
This painting is called The Perfect Wife because of the symbolism in it. Look at the feet.
They're huge feet.
Yeah, and very small hands. The hands are totally out of proportion to the feet.
Yeah.
Rebecca's painted it, but it's an exact copy of the original, so we can't blame Rebecca for the lack of proportion. You can see what she's standing on.
It looks like a turtle.
It is. You've got it. It's a tortoise or turtle.
Yeah.
Now, symbolically, what that means for this particular painting is that as turtles, tortoises don't go wandering off very far, this perfect wife will be close to the house. She's not going to go gallivanting off here, there and everywhere. The key around her waist, that's, what that means is that she's going to be a good housekeeper, the mistress of the house. The bird is a dove, so she's peaceful. Finger to the mouth, she doesn't gossip. I'd like to show you the painting of The Perfect Husband. It's in for restoration.
I like how they hit
Has creepy, almost human-like arms, as if she's squashed something.
There's a weight to push the arms out, doesn't it?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Look at that black
There's a lot of cleaning going on in here at the moment.
This is kind of like how we clean it.
Well, no wonder if they're not going to be here to do it.
Can't get the stamp.
Look at this, low ceiling, and I still fit. You learn so much more about the history, which goes to show how good I am at research. In fact, I just looked into the ghost. Didn't research the family at all. Not bad.
It's fascinating. The relationships among the family is quite interesting, isn't it?
I like how we knew.
Storm. Thunder.
Yes! We haven't looked at storm in ages.
The circles in the windows look like they have eyes in them.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
It's watching you. I like how unusual, like the tech. We could have a place like this. we have no rich relatives.
You'd never clean it. If you two lived in a house like this, it'd be a state.
That's what our servants are for.
I think they've just been caught doing something a
Let
little
me
bit
see your
naughty.
curly tail. Look at those curlies.
Cute little curly
Don't be
feathers.
shy. Daffodils to welcome the Welsh to church. And it's nice starting to piss down.
I imagined it to be a bit bigger.
The seabed.
Guys, this is the first Calamityville where it's rained on us.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah. It never rains on Calamityville.
Is this the front door? It's not open.
Boom.
No, we can't see his grave. And
Oh no! No, you're in there, Nicholas.
You murdering bastard!
Maybe it's another door. We're not getting in this church then. Should have put a lockpick in cat.
Oh my god, it is open.
You just weren't trying hard enough.
Is that the mat? Like
This
those.
is the mat you're disrespectfully standing on.
Right, who wants to dance first? Dance on a murderer's grave. I want to see some Zumba moves, ladies. Bit of happy? Yeah. Right on his grave. Classy.
I'm glad they got in it.
Because you're a murdering bastard, and all because a priest tickled your wife under the chin. Was the second murder.
Probably then did a lot worse than that to her. I'd have been looking for her.
Yeah, we wouldn't have found it. Staff is so good.
Yeah.
So helpful. Look at the tiny organ.
That's what she said. I was just going to pee now in like every 5 minutes.
Do you reckon his spirit is kicking around? Should we get a picture?
Move for yes.
You gave it to Lynx to do. She's dead on the inside.
Good point, you heard her. This crystal should actually move because this belongs to our nan who's been dead,
There's a storm
dead
going.
16 years and is a storm going. We could not have better goes into conditions. Okay, move for yes.
It's a swing, isn't it? Sort of forward and back from myself. Move for no. It's swaying that way. Yes seems to be that way.
Storm
And no
pictures.
seems to be that way.
Nicholas, are you in here?
Oh, that was a definite stop and a definite yes.
Ooh.
Is there anybody else in here with us as well? Yes.
Nicholas, do you regret killing the steward and the priest? No.
It's not gone into a no, but he stopped his yes.
As you can see by our footage, we were alone when we got to the church and we were only there a short time. There was no one around when we left. The footsteps sound like they're inside of us, but we can't be certain that there was nobody outside at this time, so we can't claim for definite that it's paranormal. Are you offended that we stood on your grave? Oh my god, listen to the thunder.
That's a definite no.
You're not offended?
Did you enjoy our dancing on your grave? No. Have you heard of Calamityville? No, charming.
Wow.
Cleaning up time with the kids. Do you regret your decision to be buried upright?
I was about to ask that. Yes. Are you going to be here for all of eternity? Stood upright. Yes. Are you getting a little bit bored? He's refusing to answer.
Do you haunt Baddesley Clinton?
No.
No, you don't. Do you haunt this church?
Yes, it changed to yes instantly. How many other spirits are there in this church? One. Other than yourself. There's two of them here. Here and another one.
Cool.
Oh my god, a thunderstorm like goes thunder.
Nicholas, can you come and make our machine light up?
He's gone quiet. Are you still there, Nicholas? Nothing. Is there anybody else here with us who'd like to talk to us? Bastards.
Lost going to York now. Yeah, considering I didn't print directions from here to York. But
Okay, that's us buggered.
No, I've got directions to the Travelodge, as long as you can match up to some place where, you know, they perhaps...
We've got directions from here to the Travelodge.
No, from home to the Travelodge. So, you know, we've got the final part, we just need obviously the bit in the middle that would link them.
I've got my phone. We're
Yeah, okay. Don't know if you can hear this, but the sheep are really kicking off.
Oh, babies! They've got babies!
Show us your baby!
Ooh, sipped in mud.
Look at me.
You're not allowed to slip, and as the camera's pointed at you, you know this.
It's a thunderstorm at the moment, and the sheep are kicking off in the field next to Baddesley, Clinton.
Where's the baby? I've lost the
Hey,
baby.
sheepies, what's the matter? Oh, there's two babies.
Twin lambs!
Hey, Twinnie.
Hey, sheep!
Just some noise.
It's okay, sheep, they can't hear.
That one with the dark face.
Did that one just say baby?
It did say baby. That one with the dark face is looking at us.
He was. He's turned away now. You've said that.
Mm.
Hey, sheepies.
They've stopped kicking up. They've all started to relax a bit more now.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes another bit of thunder. See what we do.
There's another one looking at us. I see you, sunshine. I see it.
Oh, proper rolling thunder.
Yeah.
They're not as spooked by that.
Show us your baby.
One's coming to see us. Hello, sheepy.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful. Like your coat.
He photobombed me. He photobombed the baby. See how good my map reading skills are. As good as your junction spotting skills by any chance? We were all to blame for that one.
I was eating crisps.
I have redeemed myself for missing the junction because I just managed to get us back onto the M42 using the map alone. So, gold star for me.
Look, there's a place called Clown. It's Clown with an E on the end, but
The
still.
intent is the same. We will not be going there.
Nope.
Pussies.
Mind you, if you want to like do a place of evil, that is bound to be where evil comes from.
Exactly, that's probably like the portal to hell. We found Travelodge, first time, bitches. My God.
That's right. This is at the end of the corridor, out of the way of civilization.
They realise how heavy our cool box is.
Right at the end.
I'm so glad you didn't have one of those stupid key cards because I always embarrass myself with that.
Doesn't take a key card to embarrass you.
We've got all the beds. We get one each.
Oh wow!
Amazing.
Oh wow! No more mattresses on the floor, people. This is luxury. Calamityville have moved up in the world. We get a bed each.
Many Jews committed suicide in Clifford Tower rather than surrendering to the rioting mob. The ground is said to be stained red, even though it has been dug up and replaced. We're just looking for our car park for the ghost walk. One car park we tried was full. Car park we tried was closes at 8:30. We're hunting for another car
We are
park.
basically driving around York looking for peace signs.
Yeah.
This is what our life has been reduced to.
9 minutes until the ghost walk. I don't think we're going to make it.
Shambles.
Yeah,
Shambles
this,
are
is
pretty-
this is a bloody shambles, you're right.
Quick before the barrier.
Quick before we get
Mum will never forgive us if Mickey gets squashed.
We're on the ghost walk, not actually like to film it.
We just made it in time.
Yeah, 3 minutes past, I think it was.
We were chasing the group down the road.
Like some sort of, and people like looking at us. I think they kind of thought that we were like just like some kind of like mug tag team.
We did leg it past a few haunted pubs on the way here, so we know where we're headed.
It would be a calm story going back. It would be like Hansel and Gretel laying breadcrumbs. We'll find our way back via haunted pubs. Looking forward to seeing it properly rather than just running past the places. Like, yeah, because what we've seen of York so far is just a darkened blur.
Okay, we're off.
3 people drowned. So it is that people can leave this site scintillated with pops, headaches, sore throat. It only affects those, I am told, who are inflicted already with a deep and burning sense of guilt. The Old Minster is Britain's largest Gothic cathedral. The only city outside modern day Italy where 2 emperors were to die and when another emperor was proclaimed emperor. This is the Emperor Constantine, who was proclaimed emperor in 306 when his father Constantius died on this site. He attended his father's death. He says, "My father's dead, I am now the emperor." Now that is not a foregone conclusion. It didn't work like that. It was a statement, a challenge to others. He was successful. He did eventually grant Christianity to the empire in 313. So it's regarded as fitting that he should sit beneath one of the world's great cathedrals in the city where he became emperor. But the palace that stood here was not discovered until the 1960s. In 1953, a friend of mine, Harry Martindale, was working in a house at the other side of the Minster. He was 17. He was working up a ladder on a pipe. Suddenly heard a bugle horn. Out the wall in front of him stepped a Roman soldier. He screamed, fell off his ladder, scampered into a corner and watched as 20 Roman soldiers walked through this wall. One of them laid on a horse, fast asleep. He could only see them from the knees upwards. He went out the wall and disappeared. When they'd gone, he ran out, he told everybody, and nobody believed him. He talked about the spears, the swords, the shields, the helmets, the badly dyed green leather kilts. 1967 they began to make the great discoveries here, and everything that they found proved him correct. The weapons, the clothes. But what makes his story famous is that they also discovered the north-facing Roman road, what the Romans called a Via Decumana, and they found that in the exact place where he said he'd seen those ghostly figures. And when they dug down to it, it was just knee depth from the present floor level.
Built in 1503, 15 spirits are said to haunt the Golden Fleece, including a Canadian airman who fell to his death from an upstairs window during World War II. The bottom bar, where we were drinking, is haunted by a grumpy old man and one-eyed Jack, who wears a 16th to 17th century red coat and carries a pistol. We haven't experienced anything here, have we, tonight?
No, but we've been playing Heckmeck and drinking vodka, so...
No, we went to Mike Peters down the Duchess, but no, this is... We keep getting waves of cold air.
Nothing to do with the door opening down there and a gust of wind?
No, it's cold, it's around your ears.
Alright.
No, we understand what you're saying.
We've been standing in the wrong place all night,
I know,
guys.
yeah.
So are you guys feeling anything creepy in here?
No.
Any cold drafts? You know, when people open the doors?
I'm warmed up by Smirnoff, but... Roman soldiers have been seen in the cellar, where dead criminals used to be stored as a temporary measure until their relatives came to collect them. Maybe talk to some staff and...
Yes.
Or just hide.
The staff?
Hide.
What's creeping behind us?
Hide until after closing and then just stay here and they won't know and travelodge won't know that we're cheating on them. The best known ghost is Lady Alice Peckett, wife of John Peckett, former Mayor of York and former owner of the Golden Fleece. Guests have reported seeing her wandering a hotel, moving furniture and walking up and down the stairs. This top bar is haunted by a Victorian boy who was trampled to death by horses.
It's actually been quite a good atmosphere in here tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, they've had some music playing. Now it's empty, it's quite nice. Yeah, because it was heaving when we first came. We just like squeeze through on our way in. And just like
it was heaving
crab,
in here
we had to like, Zoidberg walk in and
do that again?
You know, like Zoidberg walk?
Yeah. I just wanted to get it on camera. Back to our hotel room because we're tired. It's been a long day and we've done lots of travelling.
Yeah, lots of sitting in traffic jams mostly.
Yes.
But that's quite tiring. And lots of driving around York, swearing at lots of car parks.
That was funny. York haunted.
I don't know yet. I haven't really felt anything, so I was nearly pitched off my bar stool, but that's because one leg was short, and I leaned back to see where Lynx was, and nearly went backwards over my stool. And had I come off, I would have hit my head on the side of the step and lain in a crumpled, undignified heap my legs tangled in the stool.
I'm gutted I didn't have the camera out at that point. That was really funny.
I'm gutted as well. I missed the whole thing, so I was at the bar. How far away from our Travelodge are we?
7 miles.
In the wrong direction from Travelodge because there's stupidly not a turning from the other side of the road. Take a turning off, and which was like 3 miles out, and we missed the turning, and now we're another 3 miles out. So we said to turn right, and it wasn't turn right. It actually meant turn off left, go over the bridge, then turn right, and then go back onto the carriageway. Basically, Siri screwed us over.
Turn my phone off going, yeah, it just says go to the roundabout and then do a U-turn. And then we got to a point where we're like, shit, where's the roundabout? That road or that road? And it was all a bit...
We reached the fork in the road, and we very nearly made a colossal error.
Slow down, Lynx, I don't know where we're going.
It's now 25 past midnight. We're all tired now and seriously pissed off. A new motto for Calamityville: look at them in the end.
The hauntings were repeatedly on the back passage, aren't they?
Don't mind if we go and investigate your back passage, please. I hear it's haunted.
This is Temple Newsam here.
Do you know there's a murder at the house? Tell them your faces.
We won't use your real name.
And he started to slide.
I need to think of a pointer.
Slash, crunching right through the bone.